How's it going, guys? Honcho here with another squad video, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different. This week on Sunday marks the 1 year anniversary of my squad server, On Dismount. Like many things, there have been plenty of ups and plenty of downs, but it's been a very humbling experience. It's given me a great platform to play alongside and with you guys and have a laugh along the way, but in the short space of time, I've seen our Discord grow to over 1,300 members, the admin team quadrupled in size, I've seen countless players come back and play every day, some are even racking in more hours than me. I've seen developers from OWI playing here pretty regularly, but possibly the most humbling part is just hearing and seeing people say how much they enjoy playing on DOD for all kinds of reasons. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, what it's like and what it takes to run a squad server. And in case you were wondering, all the clips in the background were recorded on On Dismount. Now let's go back a bit. On Dismount wasn't my first look into the world of squad servers, but was the first time that I actively acted upon. I actually spent 90% of my time playing on Moy's server, the Potato Fields, and that can be traced all the way back to when both Moy and myself and squad were a lot smaller. I always toyed with the idea of making a squad server back then, but with squad's average player base being only around 1,500 to 2,500 players, I didn't really think it was feasible. And on top of that, within our friend group, I didn't really think there was enough of us to be able to run it to a higher standard as we all would have wanted to. And I was also starting to get really jaded with squad back then. At around the same time, a few of my creator friends decided to take the plunge, who were really getting into squad and making their own waves. Mr. Atomic Duck set up the Duck Pond, and Gorlami set up Inglorious Blueberries, and both became successful servers within their own right. Dare I say, a lot of the older squad players watching may even remember Inglorious Blueberries. But back then, squad wasn't exactly in a great shape. Updates were very slow and scarce, usually half-cooked, and then even slower to fix. This is when I ended up just straight up stopping playing squad for the best part of 2 years. On top of this, squad didn't have the seeding mode like it does today. So to get your server live, you'd have to play on a skirmish layer, and it was painful. Especially as things were a bit oversaturated when it came to how many squad servers there were compared to the player base. Now fast forward to January 2023, I've been back on squad for nearly 12 months at this point. I've become partnered with squad, and at that time was on a huge upward curve as a content creator. But the conversation of having our own squad server comes around again, and at this point, squad's been smashing an update out pretty much every month. I've got direct communications with some of the dev team and community management through Discord, and a lot of support from people around me within the squad scene, who are now some of my closest friends. But this time when the conversation came round, it was different. We all took it a bit more seriously and genuinely started looking into things. Around March, we all got together, and it was then when I announced that I wanted to give this a proper go. Now some of these guys have admin for all three of the servers that I mentioned before, so I knew they had the experience, especially as, well, I had nothing in that department. Our plan was to slowly piece things together and go live about September 2023. However, upon OWI showcasing two new factions to us, squad partners, the People's Liberation Army Marines and Russian Airborne, which were to be released in June 2023. Now squad was already on an upward trend at this point, and I felt that if we launched after these two factions, we might miss the boat to ride the upward curve. So I felt if we launch before, then it gives us a chance to get everything ironed out and established. So we agreed to bring things forwards. What we weren't expecting though was just how fast things would come together. The name came about pretty quickly, although the original name was joked as being Totally Tactical Venture, purely because I wanted the admin tag to be TTV, but our first 4 serious names were the Blueberry Doctrine, Face First Reconnaissance, the Blueberry Battalion, and On Dismount. Yes, DOD was originally On Dismount. It was only changed to Dead on Dismount because someone said the name wrong once, and we actually thought it sounded better. I then reached out to Fox from PSG expressing interest in purchasing a server in early May, and no more than 4 hours later we had one. Suddenly, things started to become real. Next up was familiarising ourselves with squad's TOCs, and setting up all of the rule documentations and associated triggers through battle metrics and other bits and bobs. This was perfect because whilst we had the server, it was in the custom browser, so we could all test things to make sure everything worked correctly, and stopping and starting the server didn't affect anyone. My next step was to then reach out to OWI to apply for our official squad server license, me thinking it would take upwards of a month to sort, and it didn't. 24 hours it took. Yeah, 24 hours later, we had our license. It became a bit of all hands on deck at this point. All that was really left to do though was get the Discord set up and record and make a trailer, which was great fun because we had maybe 20 to 30 of us messing about in certain locations, and it made for some pretty epic shots. We then set up the rotation and finished off a few finer details. With everything in place, all that was left to do was choose a date to go live, and that date was the 19th of May, 2023 at 1800 British summertime. I still remember that day quite vividly too. Work absolutely dragged because not only was I excited for this, there was literally nothing to do. It was hot, it was sticky, and I was bored. I got myself home, got sorted, got the boy to bed, and at 1800 BST, we turned the server on in the official server list for the first time and called our first ever seed, on Goose Bay of all places. I think it took maybe an hour and 20 minutes to seed, and the first map we went into on our rotation back then was Nava for our first ever game of Random Advanced and Secure, and all things were going great until the server crashed after 20 minutes of play. Yep, it was absolutely gutting, but we restarted and reseeded despite taking nearly 2 hours at this point, but we managed to get a great bunch of games in that night, and from there we didn't look back. We started off with only 12 admins back then. Now we're over 40 strong. It wasn't all plain sailing though. After about 2 months, the hype had naturally died down, and seeding had become an absolute pain in the arse. So bad so that for weeks we would only ever go live on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, with the occasional Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was a literal no-go. But as soul destroying as it was to try and fail over and over again, we never gave up, and we always tried. We remained consistent, and it paid off. But there was one update that would change everything for us, and squad. And that was the infantry combat overhaul. As soon as that went live, it was like Dead on Dismount was thrust to the forefront of the community. Overnight, we'd seed every day, sometimes without us even trying. Sometimes the server would go throughout the night and go 36-48 hours before it went down again. It was wild, and things have just been on an upward curve ever since. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows running a squad server. Naturally, these things aren't free, everything has a monthly cost, but fortunately for me, either my Twitch or YouTube income I used to cover those expenses. We also went through a few turbulent times. A few when our server provider had some data center issues which led to severe server instability. We've also been DDoSed more times than I've made squad videos, and some of the absolute bedwetting shitters we've had to deal with over the past 12 months really makes you question humanity at times. But through professionalism and great communication, each and every issue has always been resolved. You've almost got to treat it like a company, to be fair. I don't think the guys who help and run the server with me know just how much I appreciate what they have done. And even now, 12 months on, we set out to seed the server every day. We set out with a vision to make a server that focuses on helping and guiding new players into the world of squad by not only making an environment new players can enjoy and thrive in, but for all players of all levels of experience. I am incredibly proud of what we've built up and achieved. Whilst there were a few times I nearly called it a day, I'm glad we all stuck it out and continued to grow on what we'd built. I've met some amazing people along this journey, and to even have some of the devs saying that it is a great place to be really pays homage to the hard work and dedication everyone's put into this server. What's next for Dead on Dismount? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We certainly have plans, but like everything, timing is probably going to be the most important factor. I personally still want to have a crack at a Rust server though. A lot of you OGs will know that Rust is very much my crack. I hope you all enjoyed this different angle of a video. Again, I'd like to express my deepest thanks to everyone on the Dead on Dismount team for all of the hard work, help and dedication all the guys at PSG who've put through my constant whining whenever we've had problems, and they've always sorted them. And for you guys, the community and my viewers who enjoy hanging around, playing on the server, and oddly enough, watching my content. Thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in my next video, or in my server. Good night.